You need to have a privacy specialist on your team, someone who understands what the laws and regulations are. This is not something that you pick up and read about and then start executing. So they are going to have that specialized knowledge. Since I'm with Ernst & Young, I pick up the phone and get that resource. However, if you don't have that resource in your firm, AT 101, on which SOC2 is built, permits you to use a specialist, just like we do in anything else. As long as you have sufficient knowledge to oversee the work of that specialist, you can use the work of a specialist. So that's available to you. So just because you don't have that knowledge in your firm, but make sure you understand that knowledge, because the other problem is tracing personal information around a system requires a fair amount of experience, because it goes in odd places, it gets extracted in weird ways, and everything that occurs within the bounds of normalcy are part of that process. So it's within the scope of your examination. The other thing is that they need to have breach procedures. The breach procedures may need to comply with certain regulations. So there's a lot of in-depth knowledge. Similarly, the neat thing, by the way, about these principles is that, and if we focus on materiality, these are designed, the criteria are what I would call outcome-based criteria. They don't care what controls the service organization has in place to get there. It only matters that you get there. So, for example, if you're offering a web-based photo sharing site, your security, the requirements of security may not be as robust as if you're providing cloud services for the federal government, where they need to be NIST 853A compliant. So under 853A, you probably have to have a two-factor authentication system, whereas under my picture hosting site, maybe a user ID and password are good enough. So the materiality, the needs of the users is what drives materiality and the sufficiency of your conclusions. So if you're a service auditor, you have to know how deep you have to go. And to the extent if the GAO were, for example, to adopt the SOC2, and not that I know if they have, but if they were to adopt it and they started looking at something like DoD secure environments, they would go much deeper, much deeper than you or I can comprehend. I say this based on the fact that there are data centers in the DoD that have to be electromagnetically shielded from the outside, and information is communicated through sneakers, right? It goes in and out the big door with a very mean-looking person on the vault that can seal the environment if they so choose. So SOC 2 should meet all those needs, from Flickr all the way to a secure DoD environment. It's the depth you go to for a materiality standpoint that's going to drive that. And the knowledge you need is the knowledge to know how deep you have to go.